If you don't pay for something, you're not going to learn from it. I know if I pay, I may get more results. I need to be in this course. There's just something that I've got to do. I was ready for more.
What was it that allowed you to call in and to be a receiver?
My ability to believe and remember, I'm always provided for. I have positioned myself to receive 3.2 million in less than 2 years. I screamed. I was like, yes! It's like, this is it. Like, I'm on the right path.
Poverty consciousness is one of those things that it is the easiest thing for people to just emulate and to continue on. Someone who is born into a poverty consciousness will remain there.
I was still operating from that I was poor. I really had almost every aspect of my reality was just coded in poverty.
What made it okay for you to want more money? Like, what made it okay for Leslie to say, you know what, I want luxury in my life, I want wealth?
You know, I get emotional in this because
welcome back to the Manifested podcast with Kathleen Cameron. Today I have a very special guest, and it is going to be probably one of the most inspiring stories that you have ever heard. Her name is Leslie DeMarco. She's a matriarch. She is an entrepreneur. She is a dreamer, and she is a very, very brave, courageous soul, and she's going to share her story today. So welcome, Leslie.
Thank you so much.
This journey has been so beautiful for me to watch because I see so much of myself in you. When I first met you, your drive, your desire for more, and going outside of the traditional box of what most people in your life would desire, you thought differently than most, which I found so inspiring. But why don't you share with the audience kind of how we first met, how we came into each other's resonance, and what the desire was in you to have called me into your life.
So before I met you, right when I met you, I was coming to this space of years of shamanic healing. So if you go back to when I first started questioning reality, it was, I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And I went the route that they told me to go, therapy, medication, all the things. And I had a miracle happen. And I didn't take my medication on accident, but it was a complete miracle. And in those 3 days, I was able to feel like, whoa, this was not what I asked for. I wanted to not be depressed anymore, but what I got was not what I wanted. And so immediately I made the decision, it's done, I'm gonna go another way. And within a few days, plant medicine came to me. So shamanic plants, ayahuasca, peyote, different ways to explore consciousness. And that alone was such a quantum leap, because to me at the time, that was like drugs and we're tripping out and like all these crazy things. But I remember saying, I'm gonna die either way. Like, if I don't do something down the road when I'm 50 or 60, like the light in me felt like it was dying and I needed something to fix it. And the plants were the way, for me, like going.
It was your medicine.
Yeah, it was plant medicine. And so I dove into that for about 5-6 years. And then my companion, Jorge, his lineage actually comes from one of the plants. And in Mexico, they work with peyote. So like the Mexica people or Aztecs, Mayans, it was a part of their culture to work in this consciousness and plants, their consciousness of plants. We did all the healing. Like, I was able to go through generational trauma. I was able to clear so much out of my subconscious mind. But at the time, I didn't know that's what I was doing. I just thought I was healing. And so I remember Jorge and I were driving, or we're just living, and we were like, I can astral project and I can see people's traumas, but I can't pay my bills and the water payment's gonna get cut off. And we were like, there's gotta be something, like, come on. And so Jorge found Bob Proctor, or we like to say like they found us. So like Bob found us because he had already transitioned to the other side. So like his YouTube videos I feel were even more powerful. And so, we were just listening to his material, just like, okay, this makes sense. It's almost like putting shamanic work with words, like the subconscious, your beliefs, like all these things. And so it just
kind of gave you a language.
Yeah. And it clicked. And I always say that's why it happened so fast, because it wasn't so fast, but I had so much experience to now put words to. And I don't know if I've ever told you this story, but one year, it was 2023, it was the year I met you, got in your energy. We got our tax refund in like January, and it was like 10K. I was like, the most money, I was balling. That was the most money I'd ever had in my life. And we had to do a road trip from Texas to California. And in that road trip, I saw your interview with Bob Proctor.
Oh, wow.
But we were like embodying this 10K energy, having that money. We blew it. In our mind, we blew it, but we were like, no expenses, like we're not holding back. We went to resorts, we went to the store, we got new clothes, we ate everything.
You circulated it.
Yeah, and we did it in the energy of prosperity. And like Jorge and I, if anybody was looking on the outside in, they would have thought we were reckless. But it was very on purpose to feel what it feels like to have that kind of money and not being afraid that it's gonna fall, end. So on that drive, I must have been in vibrational line with you, because your interview came on, and I remember thinking, they're asking you to join their programs. And I was like, okay, I might. But is it gonna work? And I was like, if this stuff works, this woman is probably still a millionaire. So let me look her up. And I looked you up and I saw, yeah, you still were a millionaire. You were like even more. And I signed up for your free master classes. Because you have to remember who I was then. I didn't have money. I might have made $3,000 a month. And that was a good month. That was like, all my bills are paid. We were on food stamps. And I don't hold any judgment about who I was then, or those who choose to be on it. But that's just the picture of who I was. Yeah. And I had my kids, but I was ready for more. And what was so cool was that even though I was poor financially, I was rich. I had my children, they were healthy, they were happy. I had a beautiful companion. I had a home, I had mattresses, I had a refrigerator full of food. I understood how to sing, like opening your voice to sing, it's a huge journey. And like, you don't need money to do that. And I could do that. So I was like as rich as anybody could be without money. And now I was ready for the money.
That's a very important lesson. Like that is a very, very important lesson. So at that time you were taking the live masterclasses, and then you decided you wanted to take my Wealth from Within course. Yeah. And you didn't have the money for it. And I remember you saying we were expecting your car to be repoed at any moment. So she was trying to save her car, not sign up for a course. Yeah. But you had a different thought that came to you. I think Spirit spoke through you, but what was that thought about how you could get into the program?
Well, I just remember everyone would say, if you don't pay for something, you're not gonna learn from it. And I was like, I'm gonna challenge that. I'm really gonna say, well, who says? Because I know if I pay, I may get more results, but I need to be in this course. There's just something that I've gotta do.
You made the decision.
Yeah, and I knew whether I was gonna get in your class now or next year or in a year, I could eventually get there. So the decision was made. And then I got an email saying that if you invite people to this free course, the person who invites the most will win. And it's so cool. I put your post, it was Love and Money. I remember that was the course. I put it in the shamanic group that I'm in. And I was like, guys, it's free, join it. She's been helping me so much. I posted it and 12 people joined from the link. And I was experiencing a whole lot of contrast at the time. And I was flying home from California. I landed, finally got my car, and I was there. I got the email that I won. And it was I screamed. I was like, yes! It's this is it. This is the signs, I'm on the right path. And I just knew in everything about myself that this was it. This was what I needed.
And I want to share a little bit of what happened behind the scenes. So I talk about the bridge of incidents unfolding, how there's a whole bunch of things happening. The universe is aligning behind the scenes we can't understand. So I've never before given away a program. I've never had a thought, an idea of let's give away a free program to somebody. And so I do believe what happened is your mind questioning, okay, is it possible for me to take the course without paying for it? Is it possible for me to just manifest the experience of it? I do believe that planted a seed in me to offer a free program. And then if we look at attraction and universal law, then for you to be the one that won it, like,
yeah,
no coincidences. That was a automatic draw. Like, we didn't say, oh, Leslie's going to win this. It was, of all the people that came in and did what they were supposed to do, Leslie was the one that expressed her energy in a way to be open to receive that free program. So I just wanted to give that a little bit of that background and kind of my understanding of what happened behind the scenes. So what happened once you got into Wealth from Within?
A lot. I remember, like, the course had already started for 2 weeks, so there was 2 videos I needed to watch and get on, but it was like all of the missing pieces of money energetics that I needed. Because I understood beliefs, I understood my vibration. Of course, it's always deepening. But I had never been exposed to anybody who had money. So that was just all I really, really needed, was to know, what does money feel like in every way? Like, so I get into the course and you have activities for us to do. You're like, you need to go do this, you need to do this. And like, what I've noticed, especially now that I've started helping people along this too, they all say, yeah, it's a good idea, I'm gonna do that. And they do it in their head.
Then they don't.
And then they don't do it. And I'm like, but you don't understand. From my understanding of the universe, to start something and end something, however you do anything is how you do everything. So just to get something journaled, if you have so much resistance, you won't be able to find a pen, and so you give up. Yeah. But if you force yourself, I'm gonna complete this task, and if I have to go to the store and go buy a pen, if I have to go to my neighbor and beg for a pen, whatever it is to get the job done is all you have to do to get it, manifested. So I did every single thing that you told us to do. And I remember the love letter to money was wild, because I had not written a love letter in like 10, 15 years. And I remember going in and like, you had said like, you love it. And I just started writing like the note as if I was writing to my boyfriend, like in high school. I went to like 16 years old, basically. And I remember I was like, I love the way you smell. Because I remember writing that to my partner then. And then I was like, I do love the way you smell, money. Like, it's very specific. Only money smells like it. And so every little thing that you had told me to do, I just found more of myself. And with it very focused with money, it was like, yes, okay, more unfolding, more vibrational alignment.
And so that's what I call embodiment, right? So most people will take ideas and leave them in the conscious mind, and they'll like say, yeah, okay, I like that idea. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's a good concept, but they won't actually move it into the body and experience it. So you started to experience what it felt like to fall in love with money. You began to experience what it felt like to be around people with money, and the feeling and the belief of what it would be like for Leslie to have more money in her life. So what started to happen with your finances?
Really, not a whole lot at first. I can't lie and be like, yeah, instantly. But I do want to say the time frame of when Wealth from Within ended was July 8th, and July 18th is when the money, like the floodgates opened. But I took the whole program. What I did notice more and more was my ability to believe and remember I'm always provided for. By taking the course, because my bills were still adding up, and the more income wasn't coming in, but I felt okay about it. I didn't feel like this crazy dread, because I felt like I was taking action towards the goal. And I had no idea what was coming. But just like any other day, the course had ended for about a week. And we had gone to a ceremony where we went and we prayed for the family. And the ceremony was Saturday. And then we go home. For the rest of the week, I'm just doing my regular stuff, my journaling every day. And one morning, with all the knowledge that I had accumulated, I wrote down like, what would I do with $10,000? And it ended up being this long list of bills, basically.
Yeah.
It was just bills.
Just where would you allocate it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I could have probably done like 12,000, but it was everything. It was like passports. I had a parking ticket, my car, I had a windshield that was cracked. Like literally anything that was like weighing on me, I put it on the paper and I looked at it and I was like, whoa, what if that was paid? What if all of it was paid? What if I had some miracle came and it was just all paid? And I felt it and I wept. I was like, wow, like this is possible. I can have this freedom that I'm asking for. And in that energy, I just posted to TikTok and I went to the water park with my kids because we had season passes. And while we're at the water park, my phone is blowing up. And my video went viral and we're just getting sales and sales and sales. And I called Jorge and I was like, it worked! This worked! It finally worked! And he goes, of course it worked. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, of course.
Oh, duh.
Not surprised.
He's so funny. He'll embody the energy like 6 weeks before it actually happens. And so to him, it's so normal. Yeah. And so we have manifested like, what's the right word? I have positioned myself to receive 3.2 million to and through me in less than 2 years, specifically with this material.
So after Wealth from Within was over, you came into the Millionaire Program. You've also come to my Inner Circle Day. So you keep growing, you keep expanding. But one conversation that you and I had on the phone one time was the importance of beliefs and understanding that what we believe to be true will always be our truth. So what I think about then is Leslie, car being repoed, had certain beliefs, and Leslie sitting here now that's done 3.2 million in under 2 years. You know, I think you made your first million in like 4 months.
Yeah, it was really fast.
Yeah, and that's like $1 million cash in like 4 months from like that July 18th day.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that is that's a quantum leap for anybody that's asking, like you shifted timelines. But what I want people to understand is what were some of the beliefs that you shifted around money? Because, you know, you were talking about how you're astral projecting and you're visualizing and you're doing shamanic healings and all this, but still have all these bills. Yeah. So what was it that allowed you to call in and to be a receiver for money? What beliefs do you think?
I was still operating from that I was poor. I really had almost every aspect of my reality was just coded in poverty. And this is what I deserve, and not only that, but it was almost like, I know I want more, but I'll never have it. It is not for me. So I for sure changed beliefs now that I am rich.
It's for me.
It's for me. I allow these things to come in. I remember one belief that I'm always provided for. It kept showing up even before the wealth came in. Like my rent would be due and it would be the second of the month and like didn't have it, but always something would come in, some crazy sale or anything for the money to come in. And I remember like looking at that from like my higher self, like you're always provided for.
Look, Leslie,
You can sit and you can kind of freak out, but that doesn't do anything. It doesn't help anything. Another belief I have is that if something's making me afraid, good, that's it. I'm right in the right direction because that is the unknown. That is what I have never experienced yet. So, you know, I believe it's safe to do things you're afraid of.
Uncomfortable, yeah. That discomfort, enter into the discomfort.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like, it's the safest zone to be in, really.
Yeah, because you're pushing your limits. The other piece too with receivership is, for me, is having the ability to dream about more money and to make it okay to want more. So coming from an experience in your life where you and everyone around you would be living in poverty, so to speak, or a poverty consciousness, what made it okay for you to want more money? Like, what made it okay for Leslie to say, you know what, I want luxury in my life, I want wealth?
You know, I get emotional in this because, you know, if my mom knew how to do this, she would. Yeah. You know, she didn't raise me poor because she wanted to or she chose to. She had no resources like I had. The internet wasn't a thing there, she did the best that she could. And so for me to go and seek healing for years, and the healings sometimes are hard, and then do nothing to change it for my kids makes no sense. So, they deserve freedom, true freedom on all levels, to freedom of expression, freedom of desire, freedom of traveling, moving on this world, freedom to be themselves without any question. And poverty is so constricting, because like a perfect example is if we're at a restaurant and my kids are making sounds, I will feel the energy of those around, and I'll feel that they're making them uncomfortable. And so I go into that story of like, okay, well, what if my kids screamed and then this person who's upset comes up and says, hello, can you tell your children to be quiet? Where does that come from? It comes from lack. It comes from, if I express myself, I won't get paid.
So what's going to be different for Rosemary's life now than your life?
Well, she doesn't have a mom who's afraid to be herself at all. Because we know through the wealth, I've experienced my children breaking things, and like, I'm sorry that I broke it, but here's the money to fix it. But my mom didn't have the money to fix it. So she had to force me to sit down and be quiet, because
don't break anything else, we can't replace it.
Yeah. But having that liberation as just an automatic vibration for them is so freeing. And they'll never need to call in those limitations, because they don't even know what that is. Yeah. And that's the point. And then, letting them, like, I didn't fly until I was an adult. But my son, my 12-year-old, he can navigate the airport for me. I'll just watch him and he knows how to get there. And there's like all these little seeds in their subconscious that are normal now. And that is the point for me. If nothing ever happens again for me as far as like expansion or quantum leaping, that's okay, because they're why I'm doing this. They will do the quantum leaping for me, because I've laid such, or their dad and I have laid such a powerful plantation of seeds for them to fruit.
Of like empowerment and abundance and prosperity and possibility over limitation. Like it can't be it can't be any better than that, truly, for them. Poverty consciousness is one of those things that it is the easiest thing for people to just emulate and to continue on. Someone who is born into a poverty consciousness will remain there. But what's so beautiful is the opposite then. Somebody born into a wealth consciousness will remain there. And so that's the beautiful thing. I love the saying about, like, if you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but if you teach him how to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. That's what I feel like we're doing, like with the Wealth from Within program, what I'm doing with my kids, what you're doing with yours, and now you do teach people how to energetically connect to more wealth as well. So I think it's helping other people to be able to do this too, not just by giving people more, but giving them the resources, the knowledge, and the consciousness. So what's next for Leslie DeMarco and the fam?
Well, what you just said is, being at the top of the mountain's cool. But if there's no one at the top of the mountain with you, it's kind of boring. So like helping people get up there. What I've learned how to do is kind of infuse the shamanic teachings that I've had, obtained and experienced. And a lot of people are looking for that. What I've observed is the human is looking for a connection. Before I could understand this work, my physical body needed to have some work done on it. And so that's what I mean when I say shamanic. It's the unseen things that are showing up physically in the body. And there's studies about the body holds memory, the body remembers the things that you've gone through. But to actually go into that memory, it's scary for people. So
they want to avoid.
Yeah, they're like, because why would you want to relive? But they don't even know they're constantly living that trauma. But going into like the movie of what happened, but doing it however you do it, with an altered state of consciousness or with a facilitator, whatever it is, that's where I'm kind of moving, is to help people get more prosperity, but I was kind of thinking about it for you, where you were born with parents who went to college and they had this life. So I was like, how could Kathleen do it without plants? But I had to do it with plants. And so I was just like looking at, well, I wasn't born into that, which means I had generational trauma, which was holding generational of my family back. So I had to just kind of go into my root in the earth, connection. My internal waters needed healing, because it's the same water on this planet that's ever been on this planet, and water holds vibration. So the water inside of me is holding the vibration of my mother and my grandmother and my great-grandmother. So I had to just kind of just work with the water at first. And so that's my gift to people, is let's work with your waters. Let's work with your connection to nature, and then fuse in that prosperity, because that's what we want.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And then also, I know with you and the herbs, and your company is called Matriarch Medicine. Did I say it right?
Matriarch Medicine, yeah.
And one of the things that that you do sell online that has brought you in, the $3 million, is Fire Cider, is it called, right? And so, how does that align with some of this work that you do around the herbs and what we consume in the physical body? How does that, why is it important for people to use that? And why is that the vessel for you to receive through?
I believe that we're naturally a matriarchal system. Just the way our energy flows, the matriarchal system makes more sense, because the moms and the children, the mothers will always make decisions for everyone. And so we center our life with the mother and the children here, and that has healed so much in my life, consciously and unconsciously. And so matriarch medicines is like the medicine of the mother. So your mom can make you soup and heal anything, because it's the love that she has that she's putting in the waters, and she's mixing it with the fire and the roots of the plant. It's really the love that she's putting in that's really healing the gaps. So Fire Cider is actually apple cider vinegar with the mother. And the mother is the original bacteria that we were in the very beginning. So anytime that your DNA needs repairing, or your intestines or your gut or your organs, that DNA is the original DNA. So if there's gaps, it can just fill it in. And people are like, well, how can Fire Cider help with so many different things? Well, really, it's not helping with all of that. It's helping your body do what it remembers to do, to heal itself. And that's how a mom's love can fix anything, because she's just intuitive. She knows, she's hungry, she's wet, she doesn't like this conversation, whatever it is. It's the same thing with the bacteria. I really believe the consciousness of the mother, which if you just, is it the chicken or the egg? We don't know. But the bacteria of the mother is actually the food fermenting. So the apple falls from the tree, lands in the soil, starts to break down to feed the seed in the soil, to become a tree, to drop the apple, in that cycle. It's like all of the things needed for the order of your body, Fire Cider has.
I love it. I love it. We will put the link in the show notes for Fire Cider. So if you want to give it a try, you can go and purchase. For anybody listening that is in a situation where you were, where they can't pay their bills right now, and they're listening to this conversation, what would you say to them about your experience with wealth and your ability to be open to receive?
I believe you have to do all the free things. There's so many ways to embody wealth without actual money. As a mom, I'll tell you that when there's $10,000 in my bank account, I talk to my children differently than when there's $3 in the bank account. So I've noticed a lot of moms will get frustrated with their kids a lot easier because they're so stressed. So I believe if you really need help with finances, and you're already exposed to this material, you're watching this podcast, you have so much you can do that is so free. And that's exactly what I did. I was a millionaire. I was saying I was a millionaire. I was telling people I was a millionaire way before I was a millionaire. I was believing it. I do my dishes differently because you're like joyful to do your dishes. I've had this like embodiment, like if I'm grounded, I'll do my dishes and I'll sweep my house. And they're like my meditation, and it's like, I don't know, I love it. I really do. It was part of my discipline work because I didn't used to love it. And I would
I think it's like, I have to do the dishes versus I get to do the dishes.
I get to do the dishes.
Beautiful. A couple more minutes, but I think the message that I'm hearing from you is to really believe in all things outside of the box, question the belief systems that are within you, and allow yourself to be open to receive, but also to have a bigger why outside of yourself. So your children, your family are such a beautiful, beautiful why. Any last minute things you want to say, Rosemary? Hi.
Rosemary.
She's smiling at me. Hi, Rosemary. Any last minute things, Leslie, you want to say before we close?
There's nothing special about me that isn't special about anyone watching. I really believe that it's possible. The more that you can challenge things, question things, be brave, not being afraid to ask for more, seek help. I think mentorship is really valuable. I wouldn't be here if I didn't, seek help. And I want to say thank you to you because you said yes to something that I'm sure was scary as hell, was like changing your entire life. But I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know, I don't know where I would be right now. I'd be in Texas trying to figure out how to pay my car payment. But I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have traveled around the world and expanded myself and expanded all my possibilities of what's possible if you hadn't said yes. And so I think I'm saying yes because I know it's going to ripple for more people. And how many more millions of people, mothers, need help?
That's so beautiful, Leslie.
A lot of the things that were holding me back and that I know hold a lot of moms back are their kids, or, I can't do this because the kids are in school, or I can't, and I just want to challenge that. I want to give all the permission to all the moms out there. Challenge what you think is true. You can travel the world with your kids. You can become a millionaire with your kids. You can run a business. I call myself a stay-at-home CEO.
Yes.
A stay-at-home mom, but stay-at-home CEO. Yeah. You can do anything. And what I used, what most people do is they think of their kids as potentially something to hold you back. I said, no. So challenge it and use that as an adversary, I'm going to show them.
Who says?
Yeah, and I'm going to change.
Leslie, those are beautiful, beautiful last comments. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Rosemary, for coming. I am so excited to see you continue to flourish, Leslie, and open up your mind to an even grander experience for you and the family. And then the impact you'll have on the collective will be just even bigger than you've ever imagined. So thank you for coming onto the podcast. And thank you for trusting in me. And we will see you again real soon. And please, for everybody listening, remember, beautiful example of why the limit does not exist.